Welcome in. I'm here today with Representative Lori Chavez-DeRemer. Lori, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, Congresswoman, tell me a little bit what it's been like living this new lifestyle for you.
New lifestyle, it definitely is what was reminded of me by family and friends. It's been exciting though. I really couldn't be more grateful to serve my country this way and serve Oregon's 5th District. So while the year, somebody asked me when I walked in, have I reached my miles? Of course, we're back and forth almost every weekend, which is great to get to the district, get back to Washington. Most of the colleagues that I work with go home every weekend because people want to know what we're doing. Are we paying attention to what's happening on the ground? And I ran my campaign when I was running about local issues and about why it mattered to get home and not be staying in Washington. So I love this job. It's a lot of work. I've learned so many wonderful things, met a lot of new people, and have recognized some of the issues that are happening and how I need to address those each and every day.
Let's get into a couple of those issues in a sec, but I want to first ask you about your family because that's obviously an adjustment as well with all of that travel. What's that been like?
Yeah, for sure. Well, my husband misses me, and I miss him terribly. Also, my parents live within just a few minutes, and they're getting a little older, so I miss being home and checking in on them. But certainly we FaceTime. I have twin daughters that are now 29 years old. We do family FaceTime every Sunday. We have for quite a while to make sure we're checking in on what's going on. But again, I think this is such an important job, and I'm grateful to do it. And I think my family supports me 100% and loves the opportunity that we get to serve, again, the 5th District in this way as a family.
Let's talk about your term so far with some of the issues that you've been able to approach. What are some of the great successes, in your opinion, of what you've been able to accomplish so far in Washington?
Well, certainly some of the big issues that I wanted to address from what I've heard from constituents when we're talking about local issues. One of the things that came to the forefront right away was the fentanyl crisis. And we're talking about, what's happening on the streets of Oregon and how could I affect change in that way. So some of the first things that we did was, address that with some fentanyl bills, harsher sentences for people who are distributing these drugs to the kids on the streets of Oregon. We know that drug addiction is very high in the state of Oregon. We know that homelessness is very high in the state of Oregon, as well as mental health. So some of those have been really a highlight that I can introduce some of these bills to address those issues. I've had Portland Police come out to during the State of the Union. I had an officer from the streets of Portland come and be my guest so she could see what I was working on and I could understand what the issues that they were facing every day. Just most recently had the president of the police union come out to address the fentanyl crisis and talk to a drug cartel task force that I sit on with some of my colleagues to understand what it means and what we're seeing and how we're going to address this in the future. Introduced a few bills with Congresswoman Bonamici to educate our students, to have grant dollars for some of our schools to educate some of the young people about what pills look like, what can affect them. So a lot of those things are local, but I can be the extension in Washington to get those funds to our local schools. Again, homelessness. We passed a bill, the HOME Act, on the floor, a bipartisan bill. And I worked through Veterans Affairs Committee to get, and really what it is doing is just addressing the inflation issue, some of the stipends that our homeless veterans have in order to buy the necessities that they need, as well as making sure that they have the resources, maybe even a phone to call their family members, to call the VA to make an appointment. And while it seems small, it matters to them, and I want to make sure that we're protecting our veterans as well.
Sure. Congresswoman, I think we're past the honeymoon phase, if you will, of your term. You're getting into really that routine and people in your district, constituents, are starting to get used to some of the things that you've been doing. I think some of the criticism that we've been hearing so far is some of the presence and some of that face-to-face contact you haven't really been able to have at a lot of events. How do you respond to people that say that they haven't seen you and been able to ask questions to you enough here in Central Oregon?
Yeah, for sure. I can understand when we have large districts, we're serving 750,000 people, and the district is so unique, which I absolutely love it. I know it was a little hard for people to understand, Portland to Bend, what was that going to look like? How was the Congress, myself, going to address all of it? And I think what's important is I do come home almost every weekend. I was in Portland this week. We were in the Lens district, was visiting with members who were saying, I'm glad that you're finally here. We felt like maybe you weren't in person. I do teletown halls every quarter where we reach 4,000 of our constituents to address these issues. I have an office in Oregon City where we're doing casework. I have an office in Redmond where we're doing casework. Coming to over to Central Oregon and speaking to a group yesterday, back to back to back, I know sometimes it can feel like, gosh, I didn't get to see her, but I will do everything I can to continue to answer those questions, because I think that people should hold us accountable for what we're doing. That's why we're elected. This job isn't easy, but it's necessary, and it's necessary to get here and talk to the people. I really do love to visit. I make a lot of phone calls one-on-one. People call my office and they said, I just want to talk to the Congresswoman. We make that a point every week. My team gives me calls and I make those calls personally, as well as the teletown halls and in person. So we're working hard in the first year. We're going to get to everybody. And I just really enjoy visiting with people.
Yeah, you talk about those teletown halls trying to reach more people throughout your district, but for those people really asking for that face-to-face interaction, are you willing to commit to trying to make some more of those events in the latter part of your term?
Yeah, like I said, I just did it in Portland night before last. I'm sorry if I don't remember exactly the days, night before last. Was at a in-person meet and greet there. Last night, I was over here visiting with a rabbi and several Jewish Americans who wanted to visit with me on the stuff that's happening in Israel. So we sat with them and then went and spoke to another group of Deschutes County residents last night. So definitely getting to be in person is great, to shake hands and really hear the stories. One of the stories we heard last night, again, a woman whose husband's child died of a fentanyl overdose. So that matters to them, that I am in person to hear those stories when I'm working on issues to solve those.
Representative, I wanted to ask you about the recent decision from the Colorado Supreme Court to declare former President Donald Trump ineligible on the primary ballot. There's a lot of conversations that could follow up to the Supreme Court or in other states. I want to hear your thoughts about whether this is an issue you feel the court should be weighing in on, or whether this should be something that's left to the voters coming up on 2024.
Oh, certainly left to the voters. I think that would be true for anybody who's on the ballot. And I would imagine, in hearing that just 2 days ago, that it's going to go to the Supreme Court and they're going to weigh in. So I think the voters deserve to choose who their nominee is, and I'm anxious to see what the Supreme Court will do on that.
You said earlier that talking about the January 6th insurrection, people should be held accountable for crimes they committed. Do you believe that extends to the former President Donald Trump?
Oh, I definitely think people should be held accountable. Certainly, we have a justice system that is going to weigh the facts and determine whether or not people should be held accountable. If people are breaking the law, if people are causing disruption and breaking the law, they should be held accountable, no matter who it is. People are not above the law. I don't expect to be above the law, and I wouldn't imagine you would either. We are all citizens of our communities, and we have to be responsible and respectful. And with that being said, I would imagine everybody should be held to the same justice system.
Now, is the president above that law?
Nobody's above the law.
Okay. Now, looking ahead there at the general presidential election, but about your election looking forward, this is a hotly contested seat, according to many people nationally. Do you view it that way as well in your upcoming reelection campaign?
Well, I think every seat this is a true swing seat. Right, so it is a split, a third, and a third. There's Democrats, there's Republicans, there's independent, not affiliated. I think the answer is who best fits the district, who best represents Oregon's 5th district. You know, as a mom, as a mayor, as a business owner, former mayor, you understand what's happening on the local level, and that's what I was kind of opening with my opening statement was. I don't want to forget where I came from, and I never will. So when I come home, I want to talk to people about what affects them, what matters to them. They're talking about education. They're talking about the fentanyl crisis. They're talking about the concerns that they have at the border. They're talking about the concerns or the fear that they have with the war that's happening in Israel. They want to talk about their jobs, energy costs, gas prices, grocery prices. We're hitting wintertime. People are truly concerned on a fixed income and how they're going to pay their bills. So if I can address those because I have the experience and can relate to some of these issues, I think I'm the best fit for the district. We won this district. We're going to win it again. I love serving the people. I love this job. I feel every day when I wake up that I'm passionate to do this job, and I want everybody to understand that I'll do anything and everything to represent everybody in my district. I don't care what party you are, Democrat, Republican, independent, non-affiliated. You deserve to have your voices heard, and I'm willing to listen to everything you have and take it back to Washington and do the good work that is owed to Oregon's 5th district.
I think you said that this upcoming election for you really about those hot button issues people are talking about, not just in Central Oregon, but throughout your district and throughout the state. with all of these important issues on the table, do you think that some national money could come in on both sides in large amounts to help support you and your potential opponent in that election?
For sure. People pay attention to what's happening. I mean, people, you know what? I don't care if it's $1 or the maximum dollars that people can give. What they're asking is for their voices to be heard. They want value in that. When I receive just a thank you that says, thank you for paying attention to what I care about, when I receive $1 in the mail, when I see other dollars, because they want their voices heard. And that's what we have to honor, every hard-earned dollar, because people participate in the democracy of electing their electeds, and I want to make sure I'm paying attention to that. But yes, it's going to be a hotly contested race, but I'm the best fit for the district, and I think we'll win again, hands down.
All right, Representative Lori Chavez-DeRemer, thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining me. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate the time.